how do you help them gain that clarity when they're drowning in that decision fatigue, the self-doubt, we'll say the struggles of entrepreneurship?
Well, running a small business is the hardest thing you'll ever do. It's a lot easier to get a job. I tell people this all the time. It's also the most rewarding thing you'll ever do once you get started there. So it's also the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. So understanding that you're building a business like building a house, you got to start with the foundation. And one of the foundation pieces are goal setting. You got to know where you want to go.
Honorable marketing built on truth.
Are we live or are we doing recording?
Recording. So.
Okay, so you can edit out any stuff that I say.
Yes, I certainly can. Because there's a whole intro that goes on there and stuff like that. And I'll send it over to you so you can proof it beforehand too. All right, welcome to the Maha Marketing Podcast. Today's guest is someone I've had the honor of collaborating with over the past few years. And every time we connect, I always walk away more focused, more fired up, more committed to the mission that we have up here. Joe Siecinski is a powerhouse business coach and the founder of Brainshare, where he helps take private practices, functional medicine, doctors, and really all small business owners, help them evolve from capable to exceptional. With a background in military intelligence and 25 years of corporate career at HP, Joe brings a rare blend of strategic precision and heart-led leadership. He has helped over 10,000 business owners lead with clarity, confidence, and purpose, and today he's here to help you do the same. If you've been sitting on the fence thinking about your own practice or what you need to do in your business to get to the next level, this is a conversation that might just finally tip that scale for you. Let's jump in. Joe, so happy to have you here. How are you doing, man?
It's my honor and privilege to be here, Paul. It is such an honor to be sharing some of my time with you and your listeners and your team here. So thank you so much for allowing me to spend a little bit of time, because time is our most valuable asset.
Oh my gosh, you've told me that plenty of times already.
And just to time out, just so you know, I can't see your video. Your camera's not on.
Well, it is over on my side.
I don't see it on my side, and maybe I figured I would tell you before we got too far.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. No, it says everything is good. I'll try turning it off and turning it back on here again.
I see the little P there, and then it's a black screen. All I see is darkness, like you might have something over the top of your camera.
Let me just make sure camo cam. It says everything is good on my end.
Okay, so maybe it's my end. I don't know. It's actual recording is higher quality.
Yeah.
I just don't see your picture at all. So I can't read your nonverbals.
No.
Echo canceling on record on guest 2.
Let me just be sure that I can say everybody see. Yeah. On my end, it says everything is great. So
yeah, I don't see your picture at all on the thing. All I see is a black screen. I see your name, but blackness.
Okay. Well,
should I re-log in maybe, or
it may be your layout on the far right side. The bottom one says layout. Click that and be sure it's on grid.
Yep, it's on grid. I can see your square, and it says your name at the bottom is just black. And then whenever you did a minute ago, I saw a little P come up in the middle, but it's like the camera's blocked out completely, or you're in a really, really dark room.
Post upload. Try to turn camera off. And
right now I see like a little P in the middle of the screen, like your camera's turned off.
Yeah, I think that.
And now
it just went away.
Nothingness.
Again. Yeah, I think that is.
Yep, it went away.
I think it's something on your end, because I just checked and its video is uploading at. Let me press to take another photo of you. Yep, but I have two reds. You went away and now you're back. No, yeah, so I think it's all right. I'm sorry that you can't see me, but as far as recording, everything says good.
Share. Then let's keep going, and I'll close my eyes a little bit and pretend I can see your nonverbals.
I was about to say I could open up a Meet real quick so that you could see my face.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get back into it. Pow. All right, Joe. So what drew you to focus on business coaching, and in particular, what is it that you love about small business that makes you so passionate about this?
Well, thank you. It's kind of an interesting story. After I retired in 2007, 2008 to go buy my island, there's a little crash in the real estate market space. So I put things on hold. I'm walking down El Camino, and I'm seeing all these businesses having problems. And I'm like, well, maybe I can help. And, I've got a tremendous background with sales, marketing, operations, finance, everything. So I'm like, well, maybe I can help. So I jumped in and found out that I knew how to work with a Fortune 50 company, but I didn't know anything about small business. So I had the privilege of learning and reading all these books and learning from my mentors and putting together a systematic approach, because so many small businesses, practitioners, micro businesses struggle with actually making it to where they want to get and achieve their goals. So my goal in life now is to help them achieve their personal and professional goals.
That's amazing. Can you walk us through a moment when you really saw a business go from stuck to thriving?
I see it all the time. When I ask this question, it's really amazing. I ask them, do you have a business, a job, or a hobby? And that question, they're like, well, what do you mean I have a business? I said, well, a business is a profitable enterprise that can work without you. A job is you have to be there. And a hobby is you love it so much, it doesn't really matter whether you make money or not. And the reason I want to ask them that is that kind of drives your goal setting and your other aspects of your business. So if you really want to make it a business, you're going to think a little different. If it's a job and you want to be there, you might think a little different. And if it's a hobby and you love it so much, it's like playing golf, well, man, maybe money's not the issue. So defining what you want really helps going that. There's a great book by Michael Gerber called The World's Greatest Small Business, and it talks about building a business. If you wanted to have 500 offices versus one office, you're going to build it differently. So understanding where you want to go is part of the key element to taking that first step.
And Gerber wrote the E-Myth Revisited too, right?
Yes, he did. He wrote the E-Myth Revisited. He wrote a couple of other things, a bunch of E-Myth. This is the one I'm talking about right here, which to me really talks about how to, think about what you're going to be building.
I loved the E-Myth Revisited. I still reference that one quite a bit.
I've got several of them up there, and I like the way he set it up for different, kind of the same methodology, but utilizing specific industries. I mean, there's an attorney one, there's a landscaper one, there's all kinds of different ones.
Well, there's one thing that I see consistently with the functional medicine professionals that I work with, and more with doctors, which is just overwhelm. I mean, they get into running their business because they want to help people. And there's just so many different aspects of business that they're having to deal with. So how do you help them gain that clarity when they're drowning in that decision fatigue, the self-doubt, the, we'll say the struggles of entrepreneurship?
Well, running a small business is the hardest thing you'll ever do. It's a lot easier to get a job. I tell people this all the time. It's also the most rewarding thing you'll ever do once you get started there. So it's also the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. So understanding that you're building a business like building a house, you got to start with the foundation. And one of the foundation pieces are goal setting. You got to know where you want to go. It's like, if you don't know where you're going, it's like jumping in a car and just taking off. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to get to? The road's not going to be straight. It's going to be, you're going to have challenges. But if you know where you want to go, it's a lot easier to get.
Yeah, that's great. And do you find most people haven't even set that out? Like, what percentage of businesses do you talk to that you think no?
Most people spend more time planning their vacation than they do their life.
Wow, so this is a lot more than entrepreneurship. This is some life advice here.
So many people spend so much time that their business becomes their life. It doesn't have to be that way when you understand how to build a business that can work without you. Or, you know what, I want a job and I want to make, it all depends on your personal goals. Your business goals drive your personal goals. Otherwise, you're not going to have your motivation, because why are you doing this? This goes back to Simon Sinek and know your why.
Another great one. So since we deal with so many, not only, functional medicine side, we tend to run into those people that are struggling a bit or just trying to, figure out how to run a business while still having that positive impact. With the private practice, we're seeing tons and tons of doctors that are just disillusioned with the sick care system. They're ready to step out, but they don't know where to start. So what would you kind of lay out as the early framework of how they should start conceptualizing this?
Well, so first set your goal, know where you want to go, and then draft your business plan. There's a ton of business plan templates out there, but this is kind of like it starts your roadmap, it starts your destination, it starts putting together your map of how you want to get to where you want to go. So your business plan is your foundation. Business plans are not you draft it up and you stick it on the shelf. It's something that you're working towards and reviewing and updating and moving things forward, because I've been goal setting since I was 14 years old and I've never hit one of my 5-year goals because they change. It's okay. They're your goals. They should change as you evolve and progress through your career and life.
That's great. So how often do you review and update your goals, and what do you recommend for your clients?
Well, I do it on minimum on a quarterly basis, and see where I'm progressing. I use a roadmap methodology, kind of like a big project plan that says, okay, what do I need to do in 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, and then I focus on that 90 days. Kind of like there's the 12-week year methodology. That 90 days 90-day chunks I can work with. Anything more than that gets too big for my brain anyway, my Brainshare. So, and then on a weekly basis, I'm doing my reviews, and that breaks down to daily basis and breaks down into hours. The understanding, the big thing is once you understand that, and then you have to break it into modalities. So as a small business owner, or as a small practitioner, you've got to be the CEO. You've probably got to be the VP of marketing. You've probably got to be the VP of sales. You've probably got to be the CFO and the operations manager. Now, most practitioners are real good at the operations modality, and they might be good at the sales modality when they're thinking like a salesperson. But you've got to switch these hats. So this is what kind of Brainshare is all about. Where is your Brainshare at a specific space and time? If you're thinking like a CFO, thinking about your financials, you can probably do that pretty well. But if you're thinking like a financial guy trying to do sales, you're going to not do it so well. When you're acting like a CEO, put on your CEO hat. When you're acting like a practitioner, put on your practitioner hat. And CFO hat. You've got all these hats. Understand that you've got to be those until you get to a point when you can start bringing in resources and identify what's the priority that you want to help to get you to where you want to go by outsourcing the things that you're not good at and that you don't like to do, and understand what skills and what things you should be delegating out and at what time frame.
So with wearing all the different hats, and kind of I understand the replacement theory kind of roadmap that you go down. What I struggle with, and one thing that I see in quite a few of my clients, is just how to systematize putting on those different hats. What recommendations do you have around that?
So first of all, it's going to change, okay? But where you're at today, what percentage of your time do you need to be wearing your CEO hat? What percentage of your time do you need to be wearing the operations hat? Now, operations hat is probably where you make your money. So what's your financial goal? How much do you have to actually bill or put into there to make your financial goals? How much sales time, marketing time, and allocate it out by a percentage. So let's pretend I'm going to be 10% CEO, 10% sales, 20% marketing, 30% ops, whatever those are, and then you take a 40-hour work week, no more. I hear, oh, well, I work 50, I work 60 hours, I work 70 hours a week. Target 40 hours. Anything over that, your productivity starts going down. So let's say you're going to spend 10% as CEO, that's 4 hours a week, and we block out 4 hours to put on your CEO hat and do that CEO work. Just like when you're in school and you go to geometry, when the bell rings, you don't keep sitting there. You go on to your English class or your French class or your thing. So you're going to have to really start getting disciplined in your time allocations. And you can't manage time, you can only manage yourself. So one of the key aspects that I see people struggle with and burnout is they get so tired of running so hard, so fast, and not going anywhere. Well, they're probably wasting 50% of their time by switching modalities. It takes 3 to 7 minutes to kind of switch a modality.
So what do you?
And most activities only take 15 minutes if you're totally focused, with the exception of meeting with a client or meeting with meeting with someone to do some diagnostics. Most activities are 15 minutes, or if they're not, break them down into 15-minute chunks. The brain thinks in 15 to 20-minute increments.
Oh, that's fascinating. That's something I could certainly implement more because I have quite a few tasks that are in that we'll say like 2 to 3 hour window right now that I'm like, oh, like what am I gonna?
Yep. And you procrastinate,
Mhm.
right? Oh man, that's a 2 to 3 hour thing. Well, guess what? If an activity feels like it's too much, it is. Embrace that. Say, yep, that's too big. Break it into chunks, size chunks.
So,
Yard by yard is hard, inch by inch is a cinch.
oh, that's a social post waiting to happen. So with that, with you touched on one of my favorite words, which is discipline. And I am constantly trying to improve my discipline and ensure that, because it's one thing to be organized, it's one thing to have the plan and to have the strategy. The next is implementation and how to make that happen.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on discipline? Does it come down to a morning routine? Does it come down to schedules? How do you look at it?
You ever hear of a guy named James Clear?
Yes, Atomic Habits, I believe.
Atomic habits, that's where I'm going.
Mm.
You got to make it a habit, okay? Discipline is about habits. If you have to think, thinking is hard work. Make it a systematic approach. I get up in the morning, I make my bed, I do my exercises, I do this, I check my calendar and say, what do I have to accomplish today? Oh, yeah, I did that. The key here for me is at the end of the day, reviewing my day, see what worked, what didn't work, and then reschedule what didn't get done or move something into tomorrow that gets pushed out in the future and I'm getting more done. It's amazing that when you start doing the morning and the night routine, how effective and efficient you get. It's typically about a 30% productivity increase when you do plan your day in the morning, review your day in the evening, take a couple of breaks during the day to switch modalities.
Yeah, I'm horrible at reviewing the day. I always end up reviewing the next morning.
I'm so
on the-
tired.
yeah.
I'm so tired. Yeah. And here's the key that you want to do when you're reviewing the day at night, and here's why. Are you ready? Your subconscious mind works twice as hard when you're sleeping as when you're awake. So when you review your day and plan your next day, what happens is when you wake up, all of a sudden you're a genius. Oh, I figured out how to do that, and I figured out how to do that, how to do that. Well, your subconscious mind has figured out how to fix the problem while you were sleeping. You didn't have to put conscious energy into it. You ever wake up in the morning and go like, ooh, I got these great ideas. I had a client that actually had a whiteboard in their shower in the morning that would take ideas. But the process to help with that is that evening you review your day and plan your next day. Does that one make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of
Okay.
sense. I love a good dry erase board, whiteboards. I have them everywhere. And they're perfect for it.
To me, that's how I think, is put it up on the whiteboard. It helps me think. And it's probably because I'm more visual learner than auditory or kinesthetic. I got a little kinesthetic learner in me too. Know your learning style. If you know how you learn, it's easier to learn. Are you a visual learner, an auditory learner, or a kinesthetic learner?
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't even know. I read a lot. I watch YouTube a lot. I feel like I
have
have
a
to
course
do it.
on that. That's a kinesthetic learner. If you have to do it to learn it, that's a kinesthetic learner. So listening, you might get. I mean, you're not one or the other. You've got a little bit of all of it. That is. But if you really have to do it to learn it, that's typically a kinesthetic learner. You might be a kinesthetic. Typically, kinesthetic learners have a tendency to look down, talk a little slower, breathe from the bottom of their stomach because they got to feel it. And they'll use words that are kinesthetic, like feeling, hard as a rock. So I've got a whole course on that. When you understand your learning style, it's much easier to learn. See what I mean? Does that sound right to
Yeah.
you? Can you feel me?
As I look down, take a deep breath. So
It's
that actually,
learning is fun. That's the other thing. Learning is fun.
yeah, that's what I say about marketing all the time. Is whenever I talk to these business owners, they're like, "Oh, like marketing." I'm like, "Yo, marketing is the fun part of your job." It's like, who am I? What do I do? What is the value I provide? Like,
See, but that's what you love, and that's why you should be doing that. And as someone's building their business, they're like, you know what? They want to practice medicine. They want to work with people to get them to feel better. That's what they should be doing as their focus. And yeah, you're going to have to do marketing, but after you do it, let's get someone that can help with that can do that. With finances, I mean, one of the first things I outsourced was bookkeeping. And I love numbers, but it's not something that I'm passionate about.
And that kind of takes you to that decision delegation matrix.
Yes, skills fun matrix on what requires my skill and what's fun for me. And bookkeeping was one of the first things I outsourced. Video editing. I hope I never ever do that again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's a wormhole. You can.
Yeah, well, and that's not fun for me. You know what's fun for me? This right here, helping people.
So, what would you say is like some of the biggest lies around the mindset that a private practice doctor is telling themselves, and just that's holding them back?
I have to do it all myself.
That's a big one.
But that's huge because no one is in this alone. You've got more resources and more help than you could ever imagine. All you got to do is look around. You get micro-focused instead of stick your head up out of the sand, look around, and guess what? The world's a really cool place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other, I'm going through this list of questions that I get from clients often, just to get your input on this, because I've seen some of the absolutely incredible work that you've done with your clients. And one of the ones that I've been getting a decent bit of lately is around pricing.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on figuring out what your pricing is? Is there a strategy behind it? Is it a process?
So for me, it's all about ROI or ROT, return on investment or return on time. So how much is your health worth?
No, you can't put a price on it.
I mean, let's see, when my blood pressure was real high and I'm laying in bed and I'm not being nearly as effective or as efficient I can, and I get some help, and now I'm feeling better, I'm working better, I'm making more money, I'm helping more people. Well, you know what? That's hard to put a price tag on, but you know what? It's worth a lot more than what most people think. They think about an hourly rate versus what's it worth to the client.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is not what do you think it's worth, it's what do they think it's worth.
Yeah, I deal with that a lot. Thinking of my attorneys versus my doctors. Like, what is it worth to an attorney? Quite a bit more than it is to a functional medicine doctor. But, get them one multi-million-dollar case and my services are paid for.
And it's like, okay, well, what is that? It's a balance. So you're going to be adjusting things based on your capacity, because I'll tell you what, if you don't have any business, you want to do some strange things to eat, right? I've taken on clients that I probably shouldn't have in my early days. Now I can say, you know what, that's not a good fit. And I say that. And I tell them, let's find somebody that's a better fit. And that's okay. In fact, that's what we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not the right person for that specific client or situation, let's find the right people. Want to make $1 million, help 1 million people. Life's is simple. The more people we help, the better off we're going to be, and the universe is. So your pricing structure, everybody's got to eat. You want to charge what's a fair value. Have you read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill?
Yes, yeah, many times.
It talks about, give more value in services than you get in money.
Mm.
And if you're doing that, everything's going to be okay.
Well, I think you're speaking right to what a lot of our listeners, being in the medical industry, they're feeling, right? Like the amount of value that they are providing their local community in health, in ensuring that you can grow old with your kids, that the physical ailments that we face, and so often the answer from most of the sick care system is like throw a pill at it, throw this.
Oh, throw a pill at it, and then you'll be taking that pill forever.
Mm-hmm.
How much is that going to cost you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how much is that pill going to cost you in time, energy, money, and dollar cost, versus let's put together a solution that will keep you going forever with minimal cost in regards to the paying the FDA and Big Farm a bunch of money. My grandfather told me all the medicine you need in the world is out there we call it in the woods. I grew up in the Midwest. Out in the woods, we just forgot how to utilize it. And we got all the scientists in the back room instead of going, what's the natural way to fix the body?
Yeah.
The body was made from ether here. We don't need to create it. We just need to find out what the right solution is. And that's what our practitioners are talking about, right? That's what they do.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the pricing question. It always strikes me as interesting because you got to consider the alternatives, right? You're looking at the competition. What is the competition? And if your competition is the mainstream healthcare system, I mean, a lifetime on a pill, the amount of tests that you need and everything like that, when you could go to somebody that's going to work on your diet, work on your whole body health root causes, that's going to solve something and put a system into place versus masking those symptoms.
So, Paul, do you think you could quantify that in a manner that says, let's say you take this pill, it costs you $5 a day or $1 a day or 50 cents a day for the next 30 years. You've got to do that. At least it's going to take you 5 minutes every day. 5 minutes of your time is worth at least $100 an hour. How much is that? Let's quantify that. And then here's what we're going to do, which is the best financially. You could quantify it that way. I love quantifying results. Making decisions is a lot easier when you put numbers to it.
Well, that's leading us right to the next thing, which is decision making for these practices, because it's kind of like two angles on it. One, I'm a big advocate of finding what your differentiating factor is and making your decisions based on that lane that you have chosen and leaning into it and staying with it. But the other thing that comes with the decision making for the private practice is kind of like how, with the goal setting, like how big you want to be and how are you going to make decisions that kind of match the life balance that you want to build versus working at a hospital where you're working 60, 70, 80 hours in a week and you're not getting a home life. That one of the big draws to private practice is freedom, right? And so the decision making kind of comes in with that. So I just want to pick your brain here a little bit on how you would advise some of these people to build a decision matrix around private practice.
I'm going to go there. I want to go back to pricing for just a second.
Oh, please.
You do have to take into consideration the marketplace, okay? And what are you delivering? You don't want to be, what's the marketplace, going for? You can't charge Mercedes prices for a skateboard, but you don't want to have skateboard pricing for a Mercedes either.
Yeah.
So understanding what you're providing, what it is in the marketplace, that's still a factor that comes into the decision-making process. Now, what you stated was just hilarious to me because you just kind of started defining the criteria for making a decision. Financials, time freedom, what are the other decision criteria that you utilize to make the decision? And you put those criteria together, and then you weight them on how important they are for you. And then you look at your options. Now, in any decision, there's typically no more than 5 to 7 options. There's not a million when you put this down on paper. And one decision is always do nothing. What's the most extreme thing? Get out of the business, retire, sell the business, don't, those are the extremes. And then there's typically 3 to 5 strategies in between that. And when you actually put this on a piece of paper using what I call a weighted decision matrix, and you can look that up, it quantifies the decisions so that one of the biggest challenges I see in business owners is that they look back and they go, oh, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have gone that direction. And they live in the past. The past doesn't hurt you unless you live there. So this helps you make a quantitative decision on how to move forward. Now, if your goals change, you can revisit your decision. It's okay. They're your goals. You can change them whenever you want. But make a conscious decision of it and try to make a quantitative decision. It makes the decision process much easier than relying on your gut.
With that, do you, in the decision-making process here, do you start with 5, narrow it down to 2, narrow it down, like what are there additional steps in here?
Yeah. So typically you put out these and you got 5 to 7. 3 or 4 of them don't make any sense at all. You typically get down to 3. And then you do the quantitative analysis of here's my criteria and here's how they're weighted. With this option, it's a 5, it's a 4, and you multiply the weighting times the weighting of the to the weighting of the option. And you multiply them, and then the one with the biggest number is your best option by definition.
Definition in decision making. I'm a shoot from the hip guy. So
Well, yeah, because now can you manipulate that and change it? Yeah, because these are all your numbers. But it gives you a quantitative approach to it, and you're not going to look back and go, "Oh, I wish I would have done that way." No, you go, "Hey, I made a decision based on this criteria. I move forward." If the criteria changes, your decision might change, or you can adjust as you're going. Let me give you an example. You've got a roadmap to go from North Carolina to New York City, and you start driving and you say, "You know what? I want to go to St. Louis." You pull out your map, you reroute, and you go to St. Louis. That's okay. Our businesses are the same.
So one thing that I have truly enjoyed about our relationship, even though it's not an official capacity, is mentorship. I come away from every meeting that I have with you with some new ideas, some new focus. That's usually what it is cutting out other things after I'm done talking with you, because I have a very wide range of fire here. But with private practices, I've actually matched up a few of them with some practices that have been around for a little bit longer, with ones that are just kind of starting out, so that they have some of those resources. But what would you say about mentorship within the private practice functional medicine role?
Get one, and hopefully you outgrow them.
Is there a process here as far as when you decide, well, one, while you're picking one, two, while you decide to move on?
It's like hiring somebody. What do you want? So you got to define what you're looking for before you can find it. I'll give you an analogy. A guy put together a CRM. He started using it, and it didn't do anything he wanted. I said, "Well, what did you want it to do? Did you look for that before you bought the CRM?" And he's like, "Well, no, somebody sold it to me." Congratulations, you got exactly what they sold you. When you define what you want, you'll find it. If you don't define what you want, you'll get what you get. So I want a mentor that has 15 years experience in this. Their business is running without them, or they're picking their 5 clients. They're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. Talk to them. If it's industry specific, if it's about building a business, if it's about marketing, guess what, Paul? You are a marketing mentor, aren't you?
Yes, for quite a few.
I learn stuff from you every single day. Every time we talk, I learn something about that's not my specialty. So identify your mentors, spend a little time with them, and then start going and reevaluate on a regular basis. And you know what? Who do I want to? Jim Rohn is one of my favorite. And guess what? I've never met him. But you know what? I read his books. Mm-hmm. I look at him as a mentor. Mm. All these books are mentors to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Napoleon Hill with his mastermind, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's an endless world of self-improvement, especially on the business side. And I feel like every time I read something, I'm still pulling out something else. Like you feel like you're going to get to the bottom of that well at some point, but it never seems to get there.
Well, the more you learn, the less you know.
That's very true.
That's what's fun about it. This is what's fun about business too. The other thing that one of the aha moments for one of my clients was, they were going, "Well, as soon as I fix this, everything is going to be good." And I started laughing. And they're like, "What are you laughing about?" I said, business is like a big fire hose, okay? And it's got all these kinks in it. You might get out one big kink, but there's always going to be another constraint in your business, depending on your goals. But there's almost always another constraint. This is the book, The Goal, that talks about, and Theory of Constraints, about constraints in your business. What is the biggest constraint in your business? And if it's you've got to change. The business doesn't change until the owner and the leadership does.
That is wisdom, because I go through that all the time with my team. Is, you can only delegate so much, you can only check in on so much, but every once in a while you got to just take that hard look in the mirror and say, "Am I pulling my weight as a CEO, as a leader?"
As a leader, you lead people, you manage processes.
That's more gold right there. So one of the things that I'm seeing a lot in the industry right now is just hesitation. Is, you know, like, how, if I'm going to leave this hospital and go open my own practice, there's a lot of questions that come to mind. What exactly I'm going to do. So how would you approach somebody that, has got this urge They see the writing on the
Yep.
wall. They're sick of the system that
Yep.
they're in, but they are in that hesitation mode.
Do what you're afraid of the most. So that doesn't mean don't I'm afraid to jump off a bridge. Don't go jump off a bridge. But if that's something you want to go down, then does it make sense? You've read Good to Great, The Hedgehog Effect.
Mhm.
What are you deeply passionate about? What can you be the best in the world about? And what drives your economic engine? And when you put that Venn diagram together, it'll give you an idea of where you should be playing. You take that and you put your business plan together to achieve your goals, and then you start putting your roadmap together and building what your goals are. Everybody's house is different when you're building a business, whether it's the Taj Mahal or whether it's a house in the Hamptons or whether it's a mobile home. They're all okay. They're all based on what you want. It's okay.
I think that might be the title.
I had a client last week. She came in and she's like, "Here's what I'm doing." And I'm like, "You don't have a business. You've got a hobby. You love this so much. You're passionate about what you're doing. Money's not important to you. Why are you acting like it is?" And she came back 2 days later and goes, "Joe, I've got a hobby. Treat it like a hobby." Paul, you play golf, right?
Yeah.
Does it cost you any money to do that hobby?
Yeah, it's a pretty expensive sport.
Guess what? Hobbies cost money. It's okay. Treat it as a hobby.
Do you think
If you have a job, treat it like a job. And if it's a business that you want to work with, that you want it to work whether you're there or not, you have that option of being there. That's a different mindset. It's a different goal setting. It's a different process.
And so, well, with many of these doctors, they're going from a job to a business. What do you think of the when as they're running into these questions and we'll say like deliberating if that is the right decision or not for them? Do you have a set of questions that you would run through somebody that does have a job but has some passion to turn that into a business?
Well, so start doing some research, understanding what a business is. Before you take this jump, there's a couple of things that I like to do is if you're working in a job, try to find a job that is kind of the business you want to have. So maybe work for a small practitioner's office for 6 months to understand all the aspects of it, the marketing aspect of it, the sales aspect of it, the accounting aspect, for the taxation issues, the rent aspect of it. Understand things before you jump.
And
that's part of your business plan, right?
yeah, that's most of it, right?
So, and if you don't know the answer, you don't need to know, down to the nickel or dime, but you got to know a general direction. If I want to go to New York, I got to go east.
Well, you've got this massive library of information that's out on your website, out on your YouTube, everything along those lines. Could you run us through kind of what it looks like to start diving into some of your content, what people can expect kind of from a bottom up, because there's so much of it?
Well, yeah, and there is. The first thing I kind of start with is mindset. And when I say mindset, it's, positive modality versus negative modality. You got to say that positive modality. Typically, that's, you get a lot more done when you got a positive outlook. Attitude determines altitude, right? How to make decisions. So there's a lot of mindset stuff about, what drives you, what's your why, what drives behavior. Understanding some of that mindset. It's not a lot, but you got to go through and understand a little bit more. And the more you want to dive into it, there's always more to learn. But getting that mindset set right, and then setting your goals, time allocations. We had talked a little bit about that. That's the one I see the most challenges with. People get burned out because they're not allocating their time. Most people waste about 50% of their life switching between modalities or procrastinating.
Yeah, and with
Standards is all about.
I was just going to say with the hospital model, that's the number one reason that most doctors want to start a private practice is burnout.
Yeah, burnout. You go so hard, so long, so fast, and not getting anywhere. You're on the rat on the wheel, right? Well, if you want to break that, there's a ton of material out there that talks about how to get there. This is what we do. Is all we do is building a business is like building a house. You start with a foundation, which is the boring part. Goal setting, time allocations, standard operating procedures, and finances. That's not fun stuff, but it's the foundation. If you don't have a strong foundation, sooner or later, the house will collapse. And you might have to reinforce it as you start building it. It's okay. And then sales training. It's amazing to me how many owners, practitioners haven't had any sales training. And then marketing. And marketing's about math. You spend $1, you get $3 back. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. And
target market, huge, 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 huge. And I talked about that a little bit yesterday. What is your target market? The tighter the target, the hotter the flame. If you walk outside right now, you might get a little sunburn. You take a magnifying glass with you, you can burn a hole in your foot. Well, most people would like their business to be hot. Get it hot, get focused on your target, and you can always move it around. But focus on one, and then move it, and then move it, and move it. This is where you get to stability in your business. You get away from the feast famine. Ooh, steak and lobster. Ooh, mac and cheese. I don't like mac and cheese, but you get my point. Then you systemize the business. This is what Michael Gerber talks about in E-Myth. Save yourself time, energy, and money. Save yourself time, energy, money. And then you put your team together and move from profit and loss to valuation to expand new offices. If that's what you want. If you want to stay as a solo practitioner, you kind of stop right in here. It's okay. If you love what you're doing, you might be stopping right here as a hobby. It's all okay. They're your goals. You can change them, but only you can decide that. And know your why helps with that. Goal setting helps with that. Lots of material out there. Talk to people that have been there. Don't take advice from somebody you wouldn't change places with.
That's great advice right there. Yeah.
Don't take advice from somebody you wouldn't trade places with. I've got a financial advisor. Well, how much money do they have in the bank? Well, I don't know. Well, guess what? That would be probably the first question I'd ask them.
That's pretty brilliant. The two last things I want to cover here. I know we're running up on time here a little bit, but one of the most fun things that I have on the marketing side with the types of clients that we have is differentiation. Do you have any thoughts on clearly identifying it, leaning into it, optimizing for it?
Everybody is unique. Every business is unique. How much time have you spent actually defining your uniqueness? What happens is most people, I'm a construction company or I'm a chiropractor. But if you spend 15 minutes, where'd you go to school? Where'd you grow up? What are your values? What's important to you? You are an individual, unique person. Defining that, and you will attract people that are looking for that. If you don't define that, you're going to get what you don't want.
Spot on.
Define your target market and define what makes you uniquely capable of delivering that to that target market. And everybody has something unique.
Yeah, and
not everyone was born in the same place, speak the same language, went to the same schools, have the same value system.
I always like to talk about my doctor. I call him the Harry Potter doctor because we went through months and months of him. It's like, what's cool and unique about you? What's special about you? I have great bedside manner. And I was like, I certainly hope so. That's what's special about you? And he's like, well, da, da, da. And finally one day he told me that he had taken his grandkid to Hogwarts. So I don't know a whole lot about Harry Potter. It's not my jam, but he loves it. And he had pictures of him in the black robe and his kid. And so we started doing some content around that for him. And he loved it so much. His practice was growing. He ended up buying some wizard wands and putting them up on the wall when you come in the office. He leaned into it. He loved it. And he said it was the most fun that he had been having running his practice in years.
Business is supposed to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Does that mean that the first 3 years are terribly hard for most business owners? Embrace and accept that. The first 2 years are going to be tough.
Yeah, we're just hitting the 5-6 year right now. I'm feeling great. But those...
Yeah, you're feeling better now, but those first 2 years, usually rough. About that 12-month space, 9 to 12 months, you go, what did I get myself into? Mm-hmm. And then you have a choice of breaking through or giving up. Either one's okay. It's your goals. Nobody else.
I just need to have you saying it's okay, just like on repeat in my head. Someday, it's okay.
It's okay. It really is. Hey, the sun's going to rise tomorrow.
Hopefully.
And yeah, hopefully, Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots until you look backwards.
Hmm.
And that is so true. Some of the stuff that's happened to me, I look back and go, wow. And then I'm looking, well, guess what? I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. I'd probably be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it might not be a good spot.
That grass is not always greener. So the
Hey,
the last
yeah.
last things I wanted to touch on with you here is if some of the doctors that are listening to this want to dig in with you and things like that, I'm a big believer in alignment. And so I'd like you to just kind of speak to the alignment that you have with the functional medicine private practice side, and then give us some ways that people can get in touch with you and contact you.
I'm deeply passionate about helping the universe get to a better place. And that's what most of you out there are doing, is making the world a better place, getting out of some of the big pharmaceutical hooks that we have into, at least I'll speak for myself, what I believe in our country. So you're helping the universe. I want to help you to help other people. Understanding how to build a business or how to build this practice is critical to everything that's important to me. So if you're not sure what to do, just go to brainshare.us. That's brainshare.us, as in you and me, and click on the Call Joe and schedule a half an hour, and we'll just talk with you about it. If you're ready to move forward, just click on Success Circle. The Success Circle is a access to all of our training material, 13 full courses, 9 courses on how to start a business, all kinds of stuff. If you're not sure, let's figure out where you're at, where you want to go, and how to get you there in the most expedient manner. That's what I have the privilege of doing.
Yeah, and the amount of value that I feel like people can get out of this wealth of content that you have on here, so much on here, is really incredible. I've looked at business coaches, I've looked at mentorship programs, things like that, but at your price point and the amount of stuff that is on here and the way you have it laid out, I think it's just incredible value.
And for right now, if you want to get started, go to brainshare.us, use a 15 anniversary code, and you'll get 3 months free. Go take some courses, get started. The hardest part of the 1,000-mile journey is the first step, right?
That's great.
Get started.
And then you're also obviously LinkedIn. I know you got Brainshare on Instagram.
LinkedIn, I got Facebook, I got Twitter, I've got Instagram. The brainshare.us gives you you can do all the research on LinkedIn. And if you're not sure, just schedule a half an hour with me and we'll Brainshare. Brainshare is about where your brain share needs to be at that specific space and time to get your business where you want it to go.
Well, that's awesome, Joe. It's absolutely fantastic. I appreciate you giving me as much time as you did today. You are always a wealth of knowledge, and I greatly enjoy and appreciate you as a business mentor, as a friend, as a fellow veteran. And I just want to thank you for coming out here and giving us some of this information.
Thank you. It's my honor and privilege, and anything I can do, I'm here for you and all of your audience.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.